Hello, everybody. My name is Dan Skip Allen, and this is the Top 5 Weekly, where myself and my guests, we run down our top 5 based off an actor, a director, an actress in this case tonight, or it could be a topic, whatever we're discussing. And I cannot do this show alone. It would be pretty boring if I was talking to you people out there by myself. So I have some guests with me, and I'm going to bring those guests in right now. And they are Camden and Marisol. Once again, Camden, how are you doing?
Doing great. You?
Great. And Marisol, how are you doing this evening?
Feeling good.
All right, that's great. So this episode of the Top 5 Weekly is on Nicole Kidman movies or films or performances, and based off of in honor of Bombshell, which is coming out. And so let's not waste any time. Let's get into this. Camden, what is your number 5 Nicole Kidman performance or movie?
All right, for number 5, I have Paddington.
Oh my God. Marisol, do you have Paddington?
I don't.
You don't?
I haven't seen Paddington.
Oh, I'll tell you what. I'll let this kid talk. You'd be shocked how good this movie is. All right, go ahead, Camden.
It's a kids movie, but it's a really smart, really clever kids movie, and it's just a lot of fun. It doesn't take itself seriously, but the writing's great, the visuals are amazing, and Kidman plays the villain in this movie, and she just has so much fun with this role because it's a role that you don't have to take too seriously. And I think she took the role because her kids wanted her to, and you could tell she's having a lot of fun, and she's like this, typical evil Russian spy or whatever. And I think it's just awesome to watch her have so much fun on screen with all the goofy antics going on, and it's just a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I loved Paddington, and rarely do you see a movie like this where the sequels actually might be slightly better than the original, which is crazy that they could actually make 2 Paddington movies and they're both great. And she's just eating up the scenery as the villain in that film. You're absolutely right. She does play a good villain. I just saw The Golden Compass again, where she's the villain in that. Marisol, you have not seen Paddington, so obviously she can't talk about it. So what would your number 5 be, Marisol?
So my number 5, I picked, I really like dysfunctional family movies. I like those resonate, those stay with me, because they're so messy. And I picked Margot at the Wedding, for my number 5. I just I respond to people, especially very glamorous people. Somebody like Nicole Kidman, uber glamorous. I respond when they play people who just don't have it together and kind of have mental affliction that are this kind of it's messy stuff, and it causes really uncomfortable feelings with your family. And she's going through it with her sister Jennifer Jason Leigh. She's going to the wedding of Jennifer Jason Leigh and Jack Black, and she's a dark horse. She really is. In her family, and in that movie, it's kind of like a sister piece, I think, to that movie, Rachel Getting Married. Different, but still that very similar in fleshing ugly relationships, messy relationships between sisters right before a wedding. And I think Nicole Kidman is understated and complicated and pretty good in it.
Yeah, the thing is, when you get great actors or actresses, in this case Nicole Kidman, if they see a role, it doesn't matter how big it is. They want to be in a movie. Do you remember who directed Rachel at the Wedding? It wasn't Noah Baumbach, was it?
No.
Okay.
No. Rachel Getting Married or Margot at the Wedding?
Margot at the Wedding, my bad.
Oh, Margot at the Wedding is Noah Baumbach. I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about Rachel Getting Married.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
Margot at the Wedding is Noah Baumbach.
Okay, so no, he really is a great writer-director when it comes to character development. He really knows how to get inside his characters. And you're right. In Nicole Kidman, it's a smaller role, but it's very effective on how Jennifer Jason Leigh acts opposite of Nicole Kidman and Jack Black and whatnot. And it's great to have a director that can get that those performances out of their actors. So, have you seen this movie, Camden?
No, I mean I love Baumbach, but yeah.
You haven't seen that one? Okay. My number 5 is I have Rabbit Hole, where she plays Becca Orbit. Now,
Actually, I have that up higher in my list.
I have that higher up on my list as well.
Oh, that's good then. Hey, I love it. I love it when we can all talk about something. All right, so that means we're going to go back to Camden for his number 4. And somebody's caused a little bit of static. I don't know who it is, but someone's causing a little bit of static. Yep, that's probably Marisol. All right, thank you, Marisol, for fixing whatever it was you did. So let's go to Camden then.
All right, so my number 4, I have Boy Erased.
Boy Erased. I do not have Boy Erased, but I love that movie so much. Marisol, do you have it?
I might if I had seen it. Sorry.
I'm
going to be a little skimpy. My Nicole Kidman game is a little skimpy here. Sorry.
Oh, that's got Lucas Hedges and Russell Crowe are both phenomenal in it. All right, Camden, go ahead.
All right, so I mean, this is a movie that came out like a year ago, and I thought it was great. It was really emotional, really powerful. And I think one of the most complex characters would be Nicole Kidman, who plays Lucas Hedges' mom. Because she's this clean-cut Southern religious woman. And you kind of see her slowly battle, her religious beliefs versus wanting her son to be happy. She's like, oh, I'm Christian and I don't want my son to be gay, but I don't want him to be miserable either. So you kind of see that struggle the whole time. And she plays it really well. She plays that. And you expect these super religious parents to be total jerks, but there's a point where Lucas Hedges just says, hey, I don't want to be here. I'm miserable here. And you see her mother instinct come out saying, okay, you don't have to be here. I'm gonna take care of you. So even though she doesn't agree with it, she cares about her son's well-being. And that's just really powerful stuff,
Yeah, I'll tell you what, when they send, I hope this, it's a year-old movie, I guess. They send him to a conversion camp and he doesn't want to be there, and she goes into, like you said, her motherly instincts. I'm a mother, this is my son, I care about what makes my son happy, even if it is telling my husband, who's this big time car salesman in the town, we need to do what's best for him, not what we believe in all this stuff. And I'll tell you right now, Russell Crowe and Nicole Kidman are both fantastic in this movie. If they are not as genuine, you don't get the character development and the performances, even from Joel Edgerton, which is the guy that's in charge of the conversion camp, and he directs the movie. And it's just crazy. Great performance by Nicole Kidman in a role you don't really see her play a mother. That's so weird. We brought up 2 mother roles in a row. We're going to talk about Rabbit Hole in a little while. But have you not seen it, Boy Erased? Did I already ask you that?
I already confessed it. I have not seen it yet.
Okay. All right. So that's all right. So then we're going to go on to your number 5, Marisol. Number 4, Marisol, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Number 4.
Yeah, it's number 4. I had a choice to make here, and I had a choice to make, and I went with I was gonna put The Hours for number 4, and then I flipped it at the last second, and I put a little wild card choice in there, and I put Stoker in there.
Oh wow! I don't have Stoker, but I'm glad you put it on your list. This is going to be a good one. Can't wait to hear you talk about this. Cameron, do you not have Stoker?
No Stoker.
All right, go ahead, Marisol.
I won't say too much about it.
Say whatever you want. You don't have to say. You don't have to. You can say whatever you want about it.
She's chilling. I mean, I didn't think that seeing Nicole Kidman as a vampire was something that I needed in my life, but it was actually very fitting. She's very chilling. She's very manipulative. And there's this just sick black humor underlying the whole thing. And she's sadistic, pretty much the whole movie. I recommend Stoker only for its offbeat, its grimness, its weirdness. It's very rigidness. It's got this very, very, very gothic sensibilities. And maybe a dark horse choice, maybe not one of her most memorable roles, but one of the ones that I enjoyed watching her in one of the most. I think she was chewing the scenery in a very stoic kind of way, if that makes any sense.
That's that's the thing about these great actresses or great actors. They can do anything, and she can do these movies like Paddington, or she could do period pieces, or then she could do where she plays a vampire. It just is this dark movie, and she's like absolutely an bitch, going off of Mia Wasikowska's in that movie, and it's like, and Matthew Good is in it, and
oh yeah, it's delicious.
Yeah, you're like, this is crazy, and you love to see these great actresses or actors do something that's just completely different than anything they've done before, but it shows what range they have to do these crazy things, And I would say, I'm not even going to mention any. I'll talk about it at the end in case someone hasn't already got it on the list. I had something else I was going to say about another movie, but I won't say it because of that. Have you seen Stoker, Camden?
No, I'm behind on my Park Chan-wook. I haven't seen a lot of his stuff.
Oh God, you got to see it. And Handmaiden.
I saw Handmaiden last week, so I'm trying to get into him.
Oh God, this guy is fantastic. All right, so we're gonna go to Camden. Are we going? Did I already go to you for 4? I already went for you for 4.
You did.
So it's my 4. It's my number 4. Okay, I know she didn't win an Oscar for this, and somebody else won an Oscar in this movie for this, but I felt like she was the heart of this movie. And in the book, she's the main character in the movie, in the book. So when the movie comes out, I'm like, okay, look, she's a main character in the movie, and she really has to eat up every scene because she's in it with like maybe one other person. She's really in it, not in a scene in the entire movie. And that's Cold Mountain, where she plays a character by the name of Ada Monroe. Does anybody have Cold Mountain on there?
That's an honorable mention for me. It did not make it into my top 5, but that's one of her most memorable for me.
Oh, I love Cold Mountain. I love period piece films, and her opposite Renee Zellweger is so good. She runs this house in the Civil War. Her husband's off fighting in the Civil War, and she needs someone there to help her around the house. And she brings in this sassy Southern girl played by Renee Zellweger. And of course, we have some Civil War people going on. Her husband's off. He comes back, Jude Law. And then some things happened, which we won't really get into. I don't want to spoil it, but some not some nice things. These are the things you don't do to women. Let's put it that way. It's mean. These are mean things that you don't do to women. You don't force women against their will. And that's basically what happens in Cold Mountain. But it's a beautiful movie with great performances. And Nicole as Ada Monroe is really fantastic. And I think she could have, I don't know if she was nominated or not, but she was really good in that film. So that's why I got number 3. I got Ada Monroe from Cold Mountain as my number 4. So now we're going to go back to Camden, for his number 3. What do you got for number 3, Camden?
I got Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut. I got that in my honorable mention. Do you have that on your list, Marisol?
I put that at my number 2. Yeah.
All right, so we'll wait till Marisol gets to it, and then both of y'all can have a discussion about Eyes Wide Shut. All right, so we'll go to Marisol's number 3.
I don't know. You guys might have this higher up. I have Rabbit Hole at number 3. Well, I think Cameron mentioned it, and you have it higher.
And I had it at 5, so we'll skip over Marisol's number 3 until we get to Camden. It's higher. He's got Rabbit Hole higher. Wow, that's fantastic, Cameron, that you got it higher. All right, so we're going to go to my number 3. And my number 3 is Sylvia Brooke from The Interpreter. Anybody have The Interpreter on their list? No? All right. This is a phenomenal movie. And once again, like these great actresses, same thing with actors, they want to work with as many other great actors as they can. And I believe this is the first time Nicole Kidman worked with Sean Penn. He actually worked with Naomi Watts in this movie, which he's worked with, I think, 3 times. Naomi Watts is in this movie with Nicole Kidman. And she has to basically interpret these people that are going, these spies, this stuff that's going on. And she's like and there's this whole cat and mouse game that's going on. And she's an interpreter, and the spies are trying to manipulate her, and she's trying to help out Sean Penn. And then you got this whole thing going on in The Interpreter. It's kind of complicated to talk about, but she's really good. And it's once again another performance that it's not something you've seen her do before. And she does it great, especially when she's acting opposite Sean Penn. I mean, an absolute we lost Camden again.
Oh no.
Oh, we lost Camden again. Well, that's never mind. We didn't lose Camden. That's the first time we lost Camden.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
we can't talk about that. So Camden, I'm sure Camden will be back. But I think he told me before the show started he was having some Wi-Fi issues. So we'll get Camden back here in a minute. The Interpreter. Have you not seen The Interpreter, Marisol?
I haven't seen The Interpreter. And I'm not sure why I haven't, because I remember when it first was coming out, I got really excited. I saw the cast. I adore Naomi Watts. She's one of my favorite actresses ever. And Sean Penn I used to like, so I was like sure. I have to check that out. Yeah,
definitely check it out. It's really good. She's a little bit understated in it, where in these other movies she's a bigger character and a bigger performance. She's a little understated in it because of Sean Penn and Naomi Watts and stuff, but she's really, really good in
you get good stuff out of those roles too, though. Like those are the ones, like when you got like a mega talented actress like that, an actor, somebody like that, you get so much out of the big roles, those show, like scene stealing, show stopping roles. You get as much out of those as you do out of those underplayed ones. There's even so much, actually, sometimes more to dissect under those ones that they underplay and pull back and get that dramatic restraint in there. Those are great.
Yeah, Camden, have you seen The Interpreter? Do we get his up? He's frozen again.
That might be his poker face.
Camden, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear it. I haven't seen The Interpreter.
Okay, that's fine. There's no problem. All right. Yeah. So now we're gonna get back to you guys, because I think it's gonna be Marisol. It's gonna be your number. Where am I looking? I'm looking at my list here, and I don't know why I'm looking at my list. I'm talking to Marisol. What are we up to? Are we up to number 3 or number 2 for you?
3.
Number 3 for you, Marisol. Okay, go ahead with your number 3. Because that's right. Camden's number 3 was something. Yeah. So, and you had that lower on higher up on your list or something. So we couldn't talk about it. And I had it on my own, so we couldn't talk about it. So we're doing your number 3.
My number 3, I think, is Camden's number 2, which I think is your number 5. Is that right? Was this Rabbit Hole?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rabbit Hole's higher for me.
Okay, so we still can't talk about Rabbit Hole yet. That's what it was. Okay. So all right, so let's go to number 2 for you, Marisol, and then we'll get to Camden's number 2.
Okay. Number 2 for me is Eyes Wide Shut.
Great.
That's a really memorable Nicole Kidman performance, where I think she upstaged. That's an earlier one that I saw from her. Mm-hmm. I didn't see too much of her really, really, really early stuff, and it unfortunately is the only Tom Cruise collaboration of hers that I've seen. But I think that she outshines Tom Cruise in that movie. It's a smaller role. It's definitely a supporting role, but I think she outshines him. She's just scathing and a little unhinged, and just a little bit like there's just like this little like this fine hum of like just like danger, like just something a little bit sinister and a little bit unhinged, and still completely within the realms of like the behind the scenes of like a marriage, you know, and a relationship. And she was hypnotic in that movie to me. I mean, she was. I think that she was great in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Camden, I know that was what number was it for you,
That was
Camden?
my number 3.
Number 3?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Go ahead and discuss Eyes Wide Shut.
I mean, yeah, that is Tom Cruise's movie, but yeah, Nicole Kidman, like, unforgettable, you know, and the fact that she encompasses so many different emotions that come along with being in a marriage, being in a relationship of any kind, and it's kind of the role that I appreciate more as I get older, as I go through relationships, as I see marriages fall apart, you know, and it's, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
I
can hear you. Oh, she can't hear me.
You can't hear Camden?
I'm not getting any audio from him.
Oh, okay. That's weird.
It's weird.
All right. Let me take Camden out. I'm going to bring him back in and see if that does anything.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to bring him back in. Yeah.
All right. Can you hear me?
Can you hear him yet?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Wait.
Can you hear me?
Say something. I can hear you.
You can't hear
Dan,
him?
I can hear
Okay,
you, but I can't hear.
All right. What I'm going to do?
Should I go back?
I'm going to take you out. I'm going to take you out, Marisol.
Okay.
And then I'm going to put you back in and see if it'll make a difference. All right, now say something, Camden.
Hello?
She can't hear.
It's so weird. I can't hear him. I want to hear him. I can't
All right,
hear
what I want you to do is just drop out Marisol and then come back in completely.
All right.
And we'll hold off for a second until we can get you back in here.
Yeah, I think the website's like acting weird or something.
Yeah, I don't know. My buddy Jeremy sometimes has that problem. When he was on a couple episodes, he was having a problem hearing one of the other panelists. So sometimes what you got to do is you got to completely drop out and come back in. It's not as good as YouTube Hangouts sometimes. Google Hangouts, which is what I used to use, but you don't use them anymore. So hopefully she comes back in a second. So keep discussing if you have any more to say about Eyes Wide Shut, Camden.
Well, yeah, that's the kind of movie you appreciate more as you get older because you realize how like nuanced her performance is, how she kind of gets every single part about a strained marriage correct, you know, the longing for other people, the tension with your spouse. And I think the way she handles those emotions is crazy, you know? And at the end of it, I mean, it's been like, what, 20 years? It's not a spoiler, but I mean, at the end, after seeing all that just happened over that previous night with Tom Cruise, the fact that she can still kind of revert back to the status quo and to feel like, oh, do you know what we should do? You know, that's just kind of, it's crazy. It's memorable. It's awesome.
Well, it's kind of I know people, oh, it's not really, but I actually believe it is because couples, married couples have ups and downs in their relationship. So to me, it's like a typical couple. They have a fight, they argue, he leaves, he goes off and does whatever he's going to do, and she's kind of going through. And then when he comes back, he explains it. And then, okay, all right, honey, whatever. Let's go through back to our normal routine or whatever. You know, it's kind of, that's what kind of happens in real life with couples. They have ups and downs, and sometimes they get arguments, and one of them has to get away or take a car drive or go shopping or whatever the point may be, and then they just get back. Okay, all right, let's get lunch ready for the kids. Let's get whatever, you know, let's get our clothes ready for work the next day or whatever, you know. And I thought Kubrick really captured that kind of normalcy of a relationship, what husbands and wives go through. And at the time they were married, they were actual husbands and wives. So they kind of nailed it, if you ask me.
They might not have been acting.
Yeah, they may not have been acting. They weren't married for very long after that. So we don't know what happened there. But yeah, so Eyes Wide Shut, yeah, definitely one of Nicole Kidman's. Obviously, you could see when she has the chance to act opposite somebody great like a Sean Penn or a Tom Cruise, she really elevates her game. So that is it was number 3 and number 2 for somebody. Now, your number 2 is the one that Marisol had. I had it 5, and you're number 2, and she had it at 4 or 3 or something like that, right? Rabbit Hole.
Yeah, Rabbit Hole. Now that's one. And when I was like 12, my brother did a stage adaptation of Rabbit Hole in his school. I watched it. I thought it was awesome, and my brother's like, "Yeah, it's a movie, right?" I'm like, "Huh. I'll check it out." So I checked it out, and it's great. It's a character drama. It's really well written, and Kidman just carries that. Like Eckhart's good in it and all as her husband, but Kidman having to carry the weight of losing a child the way she did, and having to deal with her husband trying to make things better, deal with the kid coming back and apologizing, and the fact her mother's like comparing it to her dad dying from like an overdose or something, like, or whatever, and you see all these different emotions she deals with, all while being a grieving mother, and it's just crazy how she handles all that.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, this is the first movie I've ever saw Miles Teller in. Miles Teller had never acted before in his entire life. This kid is from Jupiter. It was like 400 kids or something like that, or teenagers went to apply for this character in this movie. And of course, we now know Miles Teller is a kid who's been in all kinds of movies. But I mean, you're in a movie with Nicole Kidman and Aaron Eckhart for the first time, and she absolutely annihilates this role as this mother, and just having once again a husband that she's having problems with, arguing with, and he, because when you lose a child, and I know a woman who has lost a child, it is not easy. Even though it's not like in birth, you lose a child in birth. So your child was killed by a driver, right? Isn't that right? He killed her while he was driving. What was he, riding her bike or something?
The kid was chasing a ball on the street.
A ball, that's what it was.
He ran into
it. And it's like, you're like, oh my God. I mean, that's the worst, because you got to have a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever with your child. And then bam, gone. You're not supposed to outlive your child. And any parent that has to go through that is devastating. And she just absolutely destroyed that role. Let me see. I want to just pull this up because I have it here. Her name of her character is Becca Corbett. Becca Corbett in Rabbit Hole. You got something to say about Rabbit Hole, Marisol?
Yeah, for me, it's all about. I mentioned it before, and this is like describes Kidman's career in a lot of ways. Like, it's all about the restraint, and it's all about like the right, like those emotions trembling right below the surface for her, and her pulling back, like not like she's just excellent at that. And I think even there's some points where I think, like you said, Aaron Eckhart's good, but I think he's going for kind of just more, just outright going completely there, a little more bombastic, a little more, just completely there with some emotions. And she's just dialing it back just a little bit, and it just makes it more devastating and more, it hits harder. Like with her, it's a more complex kind of pain and grieving that she emotes in this movie, and she's captivating through the whole thing. Especially a scene like what you said when Miles Teller comes in and she's like did that, like when they're out talking on the bench. There's the scene where they're out talking on the bench, and that's just like one of my favorite moments between two characters in the whole movie. It's quietly devastating.
Oh yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that. Oh, you hit the nail on the head there, man. So, all right, so you guys have both got your number 2s, right?
Yep.
All right. Okay.
Yep.
So it's up to me. My number 2. I think people are going to be a little surprised by this because it's not my number 1, but I got something I just felt a little bit more strongly for my number 1, and so I am going to put Virginia Woolf from The Hours. Do either of you guys have that higher?
Nope.
Well, I actually left The Hours off of my top 5. Like, I think that's more shocking. I feel like I not because I don't think it's worthy. Well, no. I'll say my bit. I'll say my bit later.
Yeah. Okay.
You say your pick now.
Yeah, that's fine. No, I'll tell you what. I absolutely love this character in this movie, this period piece about these people, this famous writer, Virginia Woolf. He's telling this story and then how it impacts these different people and so forth. If you ask me, shouldn't Nicole Kidman have won her Oscar for this role? And she's only won one Oscar, and it's for Best Supporting Actress for The Hours for playing Virginia Woolf. I would say no. I believe that Nicole Kidman should have won multiple Oscars in multiple different movies by now, and why she hasn't, I can't fathom that. But she deserved to win for this. It's like saying Martin Scorsese didn't deserve to win for the Departed. Yes, he did, but we all know that Martin Scorsese had better movies than The Departed, Goodfellas, Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, so forth. So, well, why did he give it? Because same thing. Paul Newman wins for The Color of Money.
Because Al Pacino wins for Scent of a Woman. Don't get me started.
Yeah, well, and Paul Newman won for The Color of Money instead of The Verdict. You know, it's a popularity contest sometimes, and I think the Academy said, "Oh crap, we haven't given Nicole Kidman an Oscar. Let's give her one for playing this famous author Virginia Woolf." You know, in this historical movie about her life and how she used her own life to put life into her books and so forth. All right, Marisol, you had some things to say about this, so go ahead.
I mean, no, I'm not gonna be a little hater over here.
No,
I did leave it out of my top 5 only because like it's like there's 15. You could do a top 15 for her. I picked the ones that I think left the biggest impressions. I know that's the one that she did, like you said, like you eloquently said, like that's the one that she got the award for. But I was thinking through some that like impact, I think personally, like just like left more of impressions. Maybe I enjoyed a little bit more personally. I found maybe a little more maybe exciting or a little more, I don't know. I think it's still an excellent performance. They're just
right, though. You hit the nail on the head with that. It's not the most like, oh my God, Nicole Kidman's incredible in this movie. It's a really understated performance in an understated movie. Mm-hmm. Like that's what Nicole Kidman won her Oscar for. You know, Camden, have you seen The Hours?
Nope, I have not seen that, unfortunately.
All right, that's right. But we will give Camden a little bit of benefit of the doubt here. He is young. He's working on it. He's working on it.
It's one of those roles where I think that if you ask everybody who's seen a lot of her stuff and you ask her what's their favorite, I think that people would say other movies before The Hours. Mm-hmm. I'm not taking away from that performance, but I think other people would say they would think of a handful of other movies first.
Well, we all have number ones that are different than The Hour, so obviously that makes sense for us right here, the three of us. So, yeah. And speaking of number ones, let's get into our number ones. Camden, what is your number one?
All right, I have 2003's Dogville.
Dogville. Okay.
Dogville, yes.
I do not have Dogville at my number one. Marisol, do you have Dogville?
So I don't. It's just because I haven't seen it. I've heard some rumors that this is a really meaty one. And if you are a fan of her, that this is one of those top tier performances of hers, and I just haven't seen the movie yet. So
I don't even remember it, Camden. I do not remember Dogville. I couldn't tell you anything about Dogville. So go ahead, enlighten me, because you're going to be putting me onto something that I probably need to see.
Yeah. So, Dogville is like directed by Lars von Trier. Obviously, he's not for everyone, but in this century alone, he's written 4 unbelievably fantastic female leads. Bjork in Dancer in the Dark, amazing. You have Nicole Kidman in Dogville, Kirsten Dunst in Melancholia, and Charlotte Gainsbourg in Nymphomaniac. All fantastic characters, fantastic performances. Now with Dogville, that's a movie that spans over 3 hours, and you need a really, really strong lead to carry that. And Nicole Kidman carries that, and it's the one that it's like about the small town, but the way he filmed it was filmed on a soundstage with no sets. So instead of having a house with 4 walls, you had a soundstage with like duct tape that made it look like the shape of a house. So it was done in a really minimalist style, and it's Lars von Trier, so it wasn't like a happy-go-lucky comedy. Nicole Kidman was dealing with a lot of disturbing stuff throughout this movie, like lots of exploitation, violence, sexual violence, physical violence, abuse, and the way she was able to just kind of play that fish out of water, like newcomer to a small town, and like take that trope and like make it her own. It's unbelievable. Like she's great with Paul Bettany, great with Stellan Skarsgård, and just throughout, like there are moments in that movie that's just jaw-dropping because she pulls off that role like no one else could have. I mean, there's one moment in there, like I won't spoil it, but like it's incredibly disturbing, and she just handles that so well. And it's a shocking movie, and she just makes that movie. It's a fantastic movie, and you guys need to see it.
Yeah, you made me excited to see it now that you talked about it. I am a fan of Lars von Trier. The House That Jack Built, is that him last year?
Yeah, that was great.
Oh, wow. I mean, Matt Dillon was amazing in that last year. And I'm a big fan of Bruno Ganz as well. So I love both of them in that film. So, all right. So, Marisol, what is your number one?
My number one is a comfort food number one. It's just, it's her, one of her, like, the one that elevated her to superstardom. And I got to come back to it only because it's just a good time, and it's fun, and it's magnetic, and it draws me in, and it's got a little slapdash and glamour, a little bit of everything in it. It's Moulin Rouge. That's my number one. That's my number one for her. For none of the reasons why any of her other roles are on my list. But it's a fun choice. It's one that is memorable for me. She's glamorous. She's spunky. She's sad. She's playful. She's talented. I didn't even really know that she could sing before it. And Moulin Rouge is a little bit of, I go back and forth with it being a guilty pleasure and just like a movie that I just think is okay. Is a movie I should leave in my past when I was a little kid. But I always come back to Nicole Kidman in that, and she was my heroine, my movie musical heroine at that point for me. So that's my.
I'm just gonna say something, Camden, here before you speak about Moulin Rouge. I saw Moulin Rouge, and I was doing this. I was like, people seeing the same movie I was seeing. I did not like Moulin Rouge. I know, hot take. Hot take.
That's a Baz Luhrmann movie. Those can be divisive.
But I like other Baz Luhrmann movies. I just didn't understand the love for Moulin Rouge, and that's why I don't even. I think I'll tell you right now. Let me see if I look at my honorable mentions here. I don't even have any of my honorable mentions. That's how much I'm not a big a fan of. I mean, and I know. See, this is the thing about movies that you got to really appreciate. There are films that people absolutely love. That film has so much love from so many different people all around the world. And then there's just people just like me who don't like it. And then there's films that I absolutely love more than life itself, and people cannot stand them. And that's what's great about movies. And I was glad to hear. I was just like, oh, I'm glad she's just talking so good about Moulin Rouge and her character in that movie, because I know that has a huge fan base. Moulin Rouge does. So, Camden, you got any thoughts about Moulin Rouge?
Again, that's one of those I just haven't got around to seeing, but I've heard very divisive things. Like you said, it's Baz Luhrmann. I'm not a huge fan of Baz Luhrmann. I think he's definitely more style over substance, and that's not usually my thing. But I do love Nicole Kidman. I love Ewan McGregor. So I definitely need to check that out.
It's fun. Yeah, I'm not mad at anybody who says it. I'm not gonna. There are some movies that I will battle to the death if you have the audacity to say that you don't think they're good. And Moulin Rouge is not one of them. It didn't do anything for you. I will concede. Hey, I get it. And like I said, I don't even think I think about it, and that I mean, that might have been a guilty pleasure, number one. Like I said, I don't think it'll stand the test of time. I don't think I'll be, if you ask me in another 10 years to reassess Nicole Kidman, I don't know if it'll be on it.
Yeah, well, so. She'll probably be around another 20 years. This lady's, she's had a great career. So, I mean, who knows? All right, my number one is probably going to be a shock to a lot of people because I'm not the biggest horror fan. But when I see a horror film that I absolutely love, I will plant my flag and say, this is great, and I want more films like this. And lately, the last 4 or 5 years, the horror genre has really had a resurgence. I wish the romantic comedy genre would do that, but that's another whole thing. You don't want to get me to go off on that. Her character of Grace, she lives on the Jersey Islands, and she has some kids, and her husband's off at war in 1945. And she brings in some people to the house, a guy that takes care of the yard, a caretaker, a nanny, and a nurse and a housekeeper. And there might be some things going on in this house. It really does a great job of not giving its secrets away until the very end. And even at the very end, you're still doing this. You're like, I want to know what's going on here. And she plays it so straight, so close to the vest, you cannot see her give anything away in the others. Not a single thing. And that's what is so great about her character. And we talked about her playing mothers before in Rabbit Hole, and I don't know what other movies we talked about where she played mothers. I can't think of right now what other mother she played where she had kids. You guys probably had something on your list. I just can't remember it.
Boy Erased.
Boy Erased. That's it.
Yeah.
She had the son in Boy Erased, and she wants to do what's right for these kids, knowing that there's no man around. She's all by herself in this cold place. If you know England, it is not the nicest, like warmest. It's damp, it's cold, it's rainy. It's not, I mean, there are times of the year, England, Ireland, Wales, they're beautiful places, but not most of the year. It's just a miserable place to live. So just can imagine what this woman's going through in this house. She brings on the nurse, she brings on the housekeeper, she brings on the guy that, takes care of the outside of the house and stuff. And she's got to worry about these kids. And these kids, they're being manipulated by these people or these things around the house, the others. And I absolutely think she is phenomenal in this film. And once again, they don't give Oscars out for horror movie people, except for The Silence of the Lambs for whatever reason. If you call that a horror movie, I don't know if maybe it's a thriller. I just think when you give a great performance, it shouldn't matter what the genre of film it is. Give the person the awards for what they deserve, the performance that they give. And she gives a phenomenal performance as Grace in The Others. Camden, have you seen The Others?
I've not seen The Others, no.
Oh, man. Marisol, have you seen The Others?
I have seen The Others. I haven't seen it in a while, though. So you're reigniting like things that I like remember really liking about it when I saw it, because it left an impact in me. I think like it was between like there was like a couple years where that came out and The Sixth Sense came out, and like a couple years before, and these I was really liking like these directions that these horror movies are going that you were talking about. Very, very almost domestic familial, like family horror, like domestic horror movies, more like that style. No, I get it. It's a good choice.
All right, so Camden, you got any honorable mentions?
Yeah, I have one. It's Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Oh God,
because that's Yorgos Lanthimos. His movies go off the chain. And have y'all seen Killing of a Sacred Deer?
Oh, love it.
So yeah, that's one where it's like, she plays wife to Colin Farrell and mother to their kids, and it's without giving away too much. It's just let's just say it's one of those movies that it's just weird in a way that they don't really explain, but you kind of have to accept it for what it is. And it just leads to a lot of disturbing sequence of events. And the fact that Nicole Kidman can like kind of handle this domestic horror or domestic thriller, I guess, like it's really crazy because this is some really intense stuff that she handles really well alongside with Farrell, because they have some really big choices to make in this movie. And she plays fear, she plays agony, she plays anxiety in this movie really well. And like, that's one I wish I could have included on the top 5, but just what didn't fit.
What's the kid's name again? It was his breakout role.
It's the actor is Sonny Suljic. He was in mid-90s.
Oh, was that the kid in it? Oh, I thought it was the kid from Dunkirk and
No, it was. I think it was the kid from mid-90s. I'll check.
yeah, I think it's the kid from Dunkirk, and he is fantastic in it as well.
The kid, like the antagonist, he's from Dunkirk. Yeah.
Yeah.
The son is from mid-90s.
Oh, Sonny Suljic. I can't even remember him being in the movie. I just remember the other guy, the other kid from Dunkirk.
That's creepy, man. But it was really good.
Yeah. Did you see Killing of a Sacred Deer, Marisol?
I did not.
Oh
I
God!
have not seen that yet.
Just be prepared. Keep the lights on and don't watch it in the dark. It's great. I'm telling you, Yorgos Lanthimos, his filmography is all over the place.
I've only seen The Lobster and The Favorite.
Well, trust me, this is completely different than both of those films. But I highly recommend Killing of a Sacred Deer. Is that all you got, Camden?
That's all I got.
Marisol, you got any?
I had put on Cold Mountain. That was one of my honorable mentions. We already talked about that one.
All right. Well, I got one. I'll tell you what. When I watched this movie and I had been hearing the buzz about it, and I was like, okay, I cannot wait for this movie. And then you're like, oh my God, these people aren't in the movie for like half the movie. They're not even in the movie. They're only in the movie for like a third of the movie. But the performance that Nicole Kidman and Dev Patel give in Lion, oh my God. How do they not win awards for this film? I don't understand. Dev Patel is like the guy that should have had 2 Oscars by now, and he hasn't got a single Oscar. And I absolutely loved Lion. She was actually speaking in her native tongue of Australian, and it was a film set in India and Australia, which is rare for her, unless you count Australia with Hugh Jackman. But we won't go there. That's yeah, we don't. We don't go with Australia. But, yeah. But Lion, I had Killing of a Sacred Deer, a remake of a Clint Eastwood film a couple years. Once again, she's with Colin Farrell, just like in Killing of a Sacred Deer. The Beguiled. She's the leader of this house of girls, and God, we don't want to know what happens to Colin Farrell in that movie. If you haven't seen The Beguiled, Marisol, the remake, not the one with Clint Eastwood.
The Sofia Coppola one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Really?
It's on my list.
Yeah, it's very good. And I had Eyes Wide Shut on my list, so there we go. All right, Camden, go from 5 to 1.
All right. So number 5, I had Paddington. Number 4, I had Boy Erased. 3, Eyes Wide Shut. 2, Rabbit Hole. And number 1, Dogville.
And Marisol, 5 to 1.
5 to 1. For Nicole Kidman, I got 5, Margot at the Wedding. I got number 4, I have Stoker. Number 4. 3, I have Rabbit Hole. 2 is Eyes Wide Shut. And 1 is Moulin Rouge.
And my number 5 is Rabbit Hole, Becca Corbett. Number 4, Cold Mountain, Ada Monroe. Number 3, The Interpreter, Sylvia Brooke. Number 2, The Hours, Virginia Woolf. And number 1, The Others, Grace. I know you guys already did another episode, but we're going to ask you again. Where can you be found, Cameron?
All right, I'm Camden Farrell. You can find me on Disappointment Media or on Twitter and Instagram. Just type in Camden Farrell.
And Marisol.
You can find me, as I already like to say, humbly on Facebook.
And you can find me at Dan Skip Allen on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Yes, my Instagram is back and running. I'm going to be sending out all kinds of crazy stuff, lists, and you name it. Links to reviews and all these top 5 episodes will be on my Instagram as well. My letterbox, which I'm doing a lot of 2010s lists right now. So if you want to check out all my lists from the 2010s, the best of the 2010s, you can go to my letterbox, Dan Skip Allen, and Pinterest. I keep track of a lot of different things on Pinterest, so it's handy for that sort of thing. And I also am a writer, a film critic. I write for cinesportstalk.com. That's cinesportstalk.com, where I write about sports and movies. And I am a content contributor to Disappointment Media with my man here, Camden. So for Camden and Marisol, I am myself. Good evening. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.